and there's so much to talk about, especially the culture of the time, of the people, and the things that they might have as these things are taking place. Essentially, and they don't understand how in-depth is limited on it. And we sat and our purpose is that way. They're not trained to be so all they were. And you're going to see this is the time. In a linear fashion, you understand it was. Jesus is not dead. Jesus is alive. He's leading everything into this. Peter continues his sermon and his word of prophecy being the body are the ones who killed him. So this is what it's important to realize. Israel, to these words. Jesus is man attested to you by God with miracles and wonders and signs that God performed through in your midst, just as you yourselves know. This man, delivered over by the predetermined plan for knowledge of God, you gave to that hand of God's man and put to death. God raised him up and put the agony of death. Since it was impossible for him to be held in its power. For David says to him, I saw that I right hand of that. Therefore, my heart was glad, my tongue exulted. Moreover, my flesh will also live in hope, because you abandoned my soul, more of your Holy One under the decay. You made known to me the ways of life. You will make me pass with your presence. I you, patriarch David, that he was buried, and his raised up again, we are all having been exalted from the Father, the promise of the Spirit, he has poured forth this which you both see and hear, for it did not give to ascend to heaven, but he himself says, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, until I make your enemy a footstool for your feet. For how to know for certain that God has made him both Lord and God, Jesus, whom you so the and he's not pulling it at this point. He leads them into this dissertation, which is very accusatory. So what are the accusations of 23 and 36? 22. Listen to these words. A manifested by miracles and signs and delivered by the preaching of God. You fail to hands of men and put them to the mercy. Therefore, God and the Lord Jesus Christ. And so okay, this is what they've been waiting for. They've been waiting for this for several. But the prophet made it without this. He continually that physical king, and you're telling him you're one thing, but God is something else. And you kill the king that God. And when we check through, you'll see how forgiving God is about that. Be this forceful need or the encouragement to do this. These people, let's not forget, hold in our minds that these are the same. This is the same crowd that was likely there to have Jesus killed. These are some of the same people being led in the same manner to have Jesus murdered, executed. I keep doing that. But why would Peter feel encouraged to do this? This is a direct attack against some people. Why would he feel that way? Anybody? Steve?
Well, he got the confidence of the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Exactly. Anything else? Yeah. This is something that we kind of talk a little bit about. This is one of the he calls this is a lot. They don't like it. Word. I mean, this is some truth, right? And it encourages people to go ahead and say, even though it's not popular. And who was your example in this? Jesus confronting officials to their face. Basically, with lawyers in a theological question constantly. They're trying to ask questions. And if you're them and you're trying to maintain power, because every time they go after Jesus, they ask him a question that some people will like, no matter what he answers. So every time you do that, you kind of discredit him a little bit more and a little bit more. But Jesus was brilliant in his, reactions to these questions. And he always made them look worse off than when the whole thing started. So yeah, Peter has this example of Jesus not softening the message, no matter who it is. And so he's making that point of add any observations to that? To tell harsh truth things, to ease people versus there are other times not so much. Okay, identify versus and what I want to see here is establishing authority. Authority over salvation. It talks about the name of Jesus. We're going to see what we've done now in the name of Jesus, which is a new and improved system over the system. Authority over man, authority over death, and authority equal to God. So 21, he's calling on the name of the Lord that will lead to salvation. Jesus was a man and was from God, and he proved it through his miracles. So this is evidence as well against the people he's speaking to. God raised Jesus from death, which the implications are for us as well, that death is destroyed, its sting is no longer there. And then God makes him Messiah. So all of these things work together to help them see what's going on. Because why? Why didn't they see this? Anyway, okay? Okay.
And they need to know what to do about what they did wrong.
Okay. And when they did this, they did everything wrong. Jesus was a rebel rouser. He made himself the God who could do. Nobody can do that. So, when we get to chapter 3 again, says, I know you did this in ignorance. So he leaves the door open. He leaves the door open and he says, I know just you didn't know what you were doing.
For knowledge, they use all people. But this is plan of salvation, and we could call that or
That's a great point. So he uses this word. This was planned. It was planned that he was going to do this. And again, that opens the door. It doesn't well, if I did the sin, God knew I was going to do the sin. There must be, if God is a just God, he's going to allow a road of redemption. And this is why he includes it it's much the same as what happens in chapter 3. He's saying, yeah, this was part of the plan, just so you know. But God, this is the Christ. And so he's laying all of these things out for them to bring into this higher understanding that, God is just now revealing these things to them after all of this time that they've been wondering how, where is God? Why aren't these things happening? They're looking for this great Solomon type nation to happen again, and that's not what the plan was. Okay, anything else? Okay, I asked that we look up the word devout. What is it? And it's just basically someone who's seeking God. It means to imply, to seize good. And the only reason I bring that up is what happens later. And these people were devout. They were seeking God. So I just wanted to put in our minds what happens to said later. And then just to come back up to the very beginning of the chapter, look at the word Pentecost. What is Pentecost? This is a little bit deviating off the story. What is Pentecost? Look at Pentecost and what was physically Jesus was there. God established Pentecost during the Mosaic years, some 50 years before all this. What is Pentecost? I think you mentioned something about that already. What is Pentecost?
It's the first day after the Passover. And so it was the 50th day, which of course would be the first day of the week. But it first fruits, and it also used this day to commemorate the law, the old law. So it would be appropriate to commemorate the new law on this day.
Okay. Yeah, Lisa.
Root of Hurin,
Oh, okay.
but it, of course, a celebration of the Hebrew harvest, but it also had a connotation of the promise.
Okay. The promise to come. We also we also that they read Ruth. Oh, books. Why would you read Ruth? Just so if I'm of Jewish descent and forgive me, God would know that are treated being a representative of God. Every nation has their own God, which is a Jehovah God. Their responsibility to represent God, to bring people to God, and that sort of thing. There became sort of attitude. What will Jesus face this man? And what does he say? What the first thing he says about her? He says, why are you even talking to me, basically? It's America. Me. This is for lack of education, I don't know what the word would be. But look, everybody else is on their job. I don't get much, but it's important to see these things because this is the time. How can we plan this thing out? And all of a sudden, here they are, and it took a long time. And he was supposed to be because Jesus is the guy. Fear of people driven to not have to do my sacrifices. And verse 4 says, "These are the appointed times of the Lord, holy convocations which you shall proclaim at the times appointed for them in the first month. On the 14th day of the month at twilight is the Lord's Passover. Then on the 15th day of the same month there is a feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do not any laborious work. But for 7 days you shall present an offering by fire to the Lord. On the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall not do any laborious work." Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land which I am bringing you, and you reap its harvest, then you shall bring in the sheaf of the first fruits. He shall wave the sheaf before the Lord, for you to be accepted on the day after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it. Now on the day you shall offer the lamb 1 year old without defect for a burnt offering to the Lord. The grain offering shall be the tenth of a pot of the flour mixed with an offering by fire to the Lord. Soon with this drink offering a fourth of the pan of wine until this day, until you have brought the offering of everybody, you shall eat the bread of roast grain or new growth. It will be a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwelling places. You shall also count your yourselves after the day after the Sabbath, from the day you brought in the sheaf of the wave. Now that was the verse 15. After the Sabbath, from the day when you brought in the sheaf of the wave offering, there shall be 7 complete Sabbaths. You shall count 3 days to the day of the seventh Sabbath. Then you shall present a new grain offering. Now, we can go way more into it, but that's probably so here we have 2 festivals, and there's more. We have Passover, and you are bringing first fruits. And then Pentecost, again, you bring your first fruits. This was barley. Now, barley became known as the poor man's meal because it was cheaper than wheat. So you had barley here, and none of this is really important until we get to the end of it, right? And wheat. You have 2 first fruits offerings here. So, what does it even mean? When we get to the time of Christ, where all of this fulfilling of the law starts happening. Jesus fulfilled the law. What is the meaning behind all of this? What are the first fruits? Romans 1:16. What are the first fruits? Do we know what Romans 1:16 says? I'm not ashamed of the gospel, Where's the power of to salvation? Salvation to who? To the Jew first, and then the Gentile. You know this simple, but it's not just simple. This is something that was in the plan that was going to bear itself out. I'm quite certain that when Paul figured this out, his head exploded. He had to think, oh, this is what this all meant. This is what God meant from the beginning, that there will be first fruits when Jesus dies, and who else is included? Everybody else. Now, I don't know that Peter's understanding this. He's teaching this, and when we get to chapter 10, we're going to see what Lisa.
This first fruits and this celebration of Pentecost, basically, it also gives the law not to totally take up everything, to leave enough that resident alien can glean. And what do we know Ruth for?
Wow. Okay, so you're working on that foreshadowing. There's this idea of the law that Kay brings up. The law was the system. That was the system where they thought they were God. Now Peter's teaching this whole new teaching that just kind of blows it out of the water and gets their understanding to that spiritual level. This is something they probably lacked. See, so much of what they needed, thinking at the spiritual level. Everything was bless the nation, he's bringing us rain, he's bringing food. This is true. This whole teaching has less about that, has more to do with the level. This is what God does. And this block is now looking to become something else. This is where they're taking everything. And I'll just put his name in because when we read, everything is in the name of Jesus because he's in the system. If you want to know what the system is, you look at him because he'll do exactly what it does. Anything else?
Jesus, the first new
I think this is all, in my mind, it's all speculation. I don't know. But we see the idea of first fruits happening. I would say, yeah, absolutely. From the dead, see the first fruits. And now we see the first fruits of the Jews happening. But you see Peter talking about, we're going to see that he's talking about the Gentiles. Because no, he's talking about the Gentiles. He's talking about the Gentiles because people say this are off. And he's probably saying that because the Holy Spirit is helping them and before. But these fruits of this heart because they have minds about things, what they did believe, and they just I didn't deviate so far from it, but this is about God's throughout the rest of the book, and we see that we see the delivery of these Old Testament scriptures. This is the kind of power that is being put to them. I was so perplexed about it because anybody want to add anything to that? God's wisdom made manifest in the parallel of Pentecost, we just covered. In the, what are the parallels in the Feast of Tabernacles? Feast of Tabernacles was basically the travel to Jerusalem to remember that Israel was once enslaved in Egypt and God delivered you. How was Christianity reflecting that? And I think everybody else with that.
At the time this happened, there were people from all over the known world at that time coming to celebrate these feasts in Jerusalem, which is how we have so many people who are here at Pentecost who are from different regions who speak different languages.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay.
I lived in homes could be a parallel to Christianity. This is not really our home.
Okay.
We're pilgrims, and our citizenship is in
Yeah.
heaven. So
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a basic Christian foundational belief that, Jesus said, "It's not this world, it's not my own." That's true. I'm going to be here a short while, and then I'm going to go on to the next one. That's our belief. Well, through Jesus, we flee sin. We reject sin. We bondage of sin. We are no longer bound by that remembrance of the conviction that we can't be perfect. He will see how to play it out. But all of these things that God put in place so many years are being fulfilled in people's lives. And that's why it's so wonderful for them to understand it through the Holy Spirit. Okay. Verse 37 through 41. Now, when we heard this, so you just accused a couple of times. You killed the Christ. Now, when they heard that, they were pierced to the heart, said to Peter and the rest, and we do. Peter said to them, "Repent, each one of you be baptized in the name of Jesus Christ for the forgiveness of your sin. You will have received the Spirit. The promise is for you and your children, and for all those who are far off, and many as the Lord our God will call to himself." And with many of the words solemnly testified and exhorted them, saying, "Ye first generation." So then, those who had received his word were baptized, and that day they were added about 3,000 souls. Added to the church, to the body of Christ. So that word, in the heart, verse 37 means to tire down with toil, exhaust with labor, make trouble for it. So here's Peter, he's making trouble for people, or to treat roughly. So Peter treating them roughly. Yeah, okay. What part of this sermon is treating them roughly? Accusing them. Accusing them of having murdered Jesus. Killed the very person who had sent him. So next question I ask is, in the descriptions of the men and the generation were the one and the same. So in verse 5, there we see the devout people in Jerusalem. And in verse 40, he says, he calls this a perverse generation. So people, both one and the same, are devout and perverse. Or what's Peter trying to do? Here.
Like always, just like today, there are all kinds of hearts. And some receive the truth. The truth always affects people, sometimes very negatively. Even causes for the truth. But there were some people who receive it, they believe it. It makes me think those two words, devout and perverse, even Saul, when he was still Saul, who was the devout man? Devout to Judaism. And he changed when he realized pure truth. And that's some of these, I always think of Acts 7, Acts 2, because it uses the same words, at least in my version, when they were pierced to the heart. They said, well, what should we do now?
Yeah.
But in Acts 7, they were pierced to the heart, and they killed Stephen. Interesting,
Okay.
the responses to
Steve.
I think it's an invitation, right? And he's giving him like saying, what's your choice going to be? Are you going to be part of the perverse world or not?
Exactly. All of those things play very heavily into this.
Stronger connotation, but actually it's just being obstinate in the presence of evidence. So there's evidence, this has been proven, and some refuse to respond to the evidence and behave in a way that would show that they were responding to the evidence or accepting the evidence.
Okay, cognitive, as we call it today, yeah. You see the evidence, you're going to keep doing what you're saying and doing what you're doing. All of these things are very important. This actually goes back to creation, does it not? This is the glory of God that He gives us choice. And people want to say nowadays, well, there's no such thing as free choice. And then they'll spend the next hour and a half to tell you why that's the case, and then maybe use an example of somebody who have the mental capacity to make a choice, which is, 0.5% of everybody. And it's a fallacy. We have a choice. We get to make choices. We don't have to choose God. We don't have to. And this is exactly what Peter's doing. He's giving him the evidence. And he's telling them just like what Steve said, what side are you on? What side are you on? This generation is really perverse. And I think he's talking more about the leadership that brought Jesus to where he ended up being executed. Just basic, just like a court, court. And he said, here's the evidence. You have a choice to make here. What's it going to be? And it reveals the heart. And that is so important. I can't even tell you in my mind how that is. When we went through the Old Testament study there from especially Deuteronomy through the Kings, and we touched on a bunch of prophets, it wasn't about just obedience. It's not just about simple obedience. Even God even talks about it. Just turn away from the idols. He's looking for this. When God says, David, he was somebody after my own heart. Because David was contrite when he caught himself, or it was revealed to him that he was messing up, that he was sinning. He would repent about it. And that has always been God's plan, is that he would capture the hearts of men and women, and that they would come to understand he's leading them into this path of living a better life and being better. And all of those things, I think, apply absolutely perfectly to all of this. Okay. Anything else we want to add to this? Okay. So verses 42 through 47, we'll have time, I think, just to read that. They were continually devoting themselves to the apostles, teaching, and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone kept feeling a sense of awe, and many wonders and signs were taking place through the apostles. And all those who had believed were together and had all things in common. And they began selling their property and possessions and were sharing them with all as anyone might have need. Day by day, continuing with one mind in the temple and breaking bread from house to house. They were taking their meals together with kindness and sincerity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord was added to the number day by day, those who were being saved. So, this is great. It looks good. This is neat. Everybody is just, because of all the things that we just talked about, they're in awe of what's happening in their day. That, all these things are changing, and all these people are together, and there's this great sense of unity, I would call it. To list some of the things that describe the action that I'm going to get into means next week. The things that happened to those who died, they were continuing, they were steadfast in the doctrine and fellowship, breaking of bread, prayers. Fear came upon them about the apostles. They sold possessions to help each other. They were one mind. They're praising God. They were awesome. And day by day. So I'm going to get into what happens next week, and then we'll get into chapter 3. Anything before we dismiss?
The thanks to Christ's sacrifice continues in their life. It was not just one time of the Lord's Supper, but Christ is continuing worship to God,